Welcome everyone for yet another episode of Pause Talk. And today we have lovely Naina with us. Welcome, Naina.
Thank you, Monica. Lovely to be here.
Thank you for being here, Naina. And Naina is a purpose and empowerment coach, and she is joining us from Dubai. So I will ask now Naina to introduce herself.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Monica. My name is Naina. I was born and brought up in Spain to to Indian parents. So that was a roller coaster of its own when I was a child. And I went to university in England, and after a lot of years in Spain, we finally moved to Dubai, which is where I pursued my coaching certification, and I got certified last year from the ICF.
Wow, that's so wonderful. So you are actually a global citizen.
I am literally.
Yeah, so that's really wonderful. Now that Nana, you are a certified coach. So I would now ask you to just share with us how your professional journey actually started.
So my professional journey actually started very, very early on. I was only 22 years old. And one of the perks, of going to university in the UK, that the degrees are only 3 years long, whereas in Spain, they were 4 or 5 years long minimum. So I was a fresh graduate, and I graduated with a degree in business management. And I was straight away recruited for by ING, and I was on the trading floor, straight up. No training, nothing. I was just thrown to the trading floor. So now that I think about it, it's a little bit overwhelming, a 22-year-old kid that knows nothing about the stock market had to dive deep into it from day one.
Mm.
So that's where it all started. But from there, it's taken, oh my gosh, so many different paths.
Mm.
It's unbelievable, really. Now when you look back, yeah, it's been an interesting ride.
So please share with us how you have hop, skipped, and jumped and came to be a coach now.
So, now in hindsight, when I think about it, I think I just stumbled onto business management because there was no more information available for me. I was 18. I did not know what I wanted to do. And in that time, there were no counselors, there were no coaches, there was no Google. So you
Mm.
couldn't even Google what degree you wanted to do, what were the possible job opportunities. So I just followed what my family did.
Mm.
They were all
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, all into business. So I said, okay, this sounds like, the logical path to take.
Right.
And from there, how I got into trading was sheer luck as well. I was being recruited for a position as an analyst, and from there, I was taken in as a trader. And again, I was so young, and you're sort of scared to voice your opinion as well when you're surrounded by so many seniors. So I just went with the flow again. And after that, I got married, I moved, and that's when I took a bit of a backseat, really.
Mhm.
As we had a family, so what I would do is help
Mm.
in whatever way that I could, and get in the business with my husband, who is an entrepreneur
Mhm.
as well. So he had a lot of businesses going on in Spain. And then when we moved to Dubai, we set up a food distribution business. So again, I went with the flow and I said, okay, my kids are still small. They really need me. And, it's the story that you keep telling yourself, I am needed here. I am needed here. So let me just do
Mm.
something just to, keep myself active, my brain functioning. So again, I was just helping my husband. I would take care of the social media of the company and helping with a few accounts when I could. And then COVID hit. So when COVID hit, I think all our lives, turned upside
Yes,
down. And
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, so we were in the food distribution business, which was really badly hit. We had to
Mm.
close down the stores. And once everything started going back to normal, I think it was more of a joint decision between my husband and I. We decided not to go ahead with it. And he was already busy doing his things. And that is when my introspection and my reflection and my self-awareness journey started. And
Hmm.
that's when that's when coaching came along, really. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. But you have
Yeah.
had it all, you have done it all. That is what I can see from your whole journey. Yes. And a young girl looking after the stock market. And there are some girls, even me, for example, I will have no idea of any of those numbers actually.
Well,
So,
to tell you the truth, the stock market is not at all what it is now. It was a
hmm,
lot simpler back then, and
yeah.
if I were to get into it now, I'd feel scared too.
Yes, yes. But there are still doing, yeah, people are doing, and even girls are. I can see there are so many girls who are absolutely into it and they are figuring it out more than men are doing actually, because they have that kind of a sense to that intuitive sense to
Of
understand
course.
that. So what I'm seeing is that girls are actually doing very well in stock market. So yeah, it is not a one gender domain now. At least I can
Yeah,
see that now. Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. And yeah, we the topic of gender bias always comes along,
Hmm.
and it's nice to see that we're moving past so many
Yes.
old barriers, so many,
Yes.
preconceived beliefs. And yes, women now are, I think it's not only the stock market, they're in every sector possible
Yes,
and in every
yes,
position possible, which is,
absolutely,
it's very
absolutely.
encouraging to see.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yes, I could feel that there was a kind of a pause which you were just hinting at. So, let us dive into that pause now. What was that pause which came about in your life, which helped you to really grow and just blossom and bloom? And what all did happen
There,
there? Yeah.
there have been quite a few pauses, really. The first one that I conveniently ignored, I would say, was at university itself. I was doing business management, and at that age, I think you don't even have your priorities set straight. You're just too busy getting to know new people. I was in a new place. I was away from my parents. I was, living the university life. And then one day, one of my friends was studying medicine. He told me to just go into an anatomy class with him. Yes, he just said to me, why don't you just come along and you see what we study? So I said, okay. So I wore those white gowns that they wear, and I just walked into the room with him, and it was a huge room. It was full of dead bodies,
Yeah.
tables, like those
Yeah.
metal
Yeah.
tables, really cold, you know,
Yes.
and there were like four between 6 and 8 students around everybody, and the assignment that day was to extract the lung from the body. And can you believe that out of my group, nobody could do it but me?
Oh my God. This is
Yes.
so amazing. Oh my
So,
God.
so that's when the first like snippet of self-awareness came in. And I was so impacted by that experience that for a good couple of months, I seriously considered dropping out, doing biology and chemistry again as subjects,
Mm.
and and you know and applying for medical college in the
Mm.
following year. But then again, Monica, we were never guided enough. We
Yeah.
were never encouraged enough. And there
Yes.
was not that much information. And all I would hear, at the back of my head was, oh my God, you're going to lose a year. How can you lose a
Mm.
year? You're going to
Mm.
lose a year. So,
Mm.
you give into the pressure, and
Yes.
you sort of convince yourself that, yes, this is the right thing to do, even though your
Yes.
gut is telling you differently.
Yeah.
So, to cut a long story short, I am where I am now because this is what I want to do. But maybe if I had listened to myself at that time, I would have been here earlier.
Mm.
That is something that I do ask myself a lot of times. But the end issue is that I am here doing what I like,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's it. But yeah, so yeah, that was the first sort of block, I would
Yeah.
say, in my way. And then it was I think that the most common blocks that women go through, especially if you're Asian women, it's when you get married, when you have
Mm.
kids. You're
Mm.
suddenly you're suddenly supposed to change your priorities and give in to the family, give in to the kids, give in to the
Mm.
husband. And even though my family is not that traditional, it was still sort of implied.
Mm.
I remember having a conversation with my
Mm.
dad, who was the first person who encouraged me to go out there to educate myself, to work. But once I was getting married and I started looking for a job in the city where I was moving to, he told me, "Oh, why are you gonna work?" And I was
Okay.
like, "Because Papa, I have to work." He's like, "No, you're gonna work, and then you're gonna be tired, and then you're gonna be fighting with your husband."
Oh my God.
And that came as a surprise to me from my father, who I thought was so, he
Mm.
was so open and so forward for
Mm.
his generation. But yeah, it's there. It's
Mm.
unconsciously,
Yes, yes.
ingrained in there. Yeah.
For centuries, it has been there, embodied in our blood, actually. It is there in the blood to just
Yeah.
stop the woman. That is the priority, to stop the woman.
Yeah,
Not
we're
human, she
seeing
is human.
we're still, that huge image of us is still very much the caretaker, the one who
Mm.
takes care of the family, the one who
Mm.
takes care of the household, the one who's responsible for the kids' upbringing.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, things are changing. Yes, they are, which is great to see. But I still think there's a lot of work that has to be done.
Yes, yes. And we have to do that work. And that is what
We
I
do.
believe, that we are the ones who have to do that work to encourage our fellow women.
Yeah.
Our daughters, our daughter-in-laws, my daughter-in-law goes for work in the morning, she comes back. But yeah, that is what I have never expected her. She, whatever she does out of her own will, that is fine. But if
Hmm.
she's not expected to come back and cook or all of that things, I can say
Yeah.
that on a public platform, yeah. So to
But
be a person like that, you have to have courage. I cannot just be sitting down and saying, because I was not able to do it, so I will not let this girl also do it.
yeah, yeah. But you know what happens as well, Monica, is it's that those presuppositions that we have as well,
Mhm.
Like in my case, for example, I would think, oh, I'm not going to do this because it's not going to be welcome.
Mm.
You already convince yourself that, yeah, this is not going to be
Mm.
taken in
Correct,
positively. So you
correct.
don't even bother bringing it up. You don't even
Mm.
bother raising the issue. You just settle.
Mm. Yes.
Whereas right now, doing what I'm doing, there are a lot of times that I have to be out of the house. There are a lot of times that I'm not available to have lunch with my family. And it's absolutely okay.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
it's absolutely okay. But the fact that I was too hesitant to raise the issue before does not
Mm.
mean that it wouldn't have been welcome before either,
Mm.
you know?
Yes, yes, yes. So we have to start with ourselves first.
Yes, yes.
That
And
is what's
I think
implied.
that the key here is that you have to be willing as well to
Mm.
start with yourself.
Yes,
There has
yes,
to be intention there, you
yes.
know? And
Absolutely.
that's when changes come about, when you're
Yeah,
intentional.
so the whole perception of our own selves, we have to change the perception of ourselves first.
Exactly,
And then the other
exactly.
people will perceive us differently. Because if we are perceiving us ourselves like that one nurturer who is sacrificing everything and then regretting it all,
Yeah,
so then we have to first to change that perception of ourselves. And I'm sure everybody around us will welcome the new image,
of
the new
course,
the
of
new way
course.
which we want to go. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and for us women as well, we we also set an example to the coming
Yes,
generations. So
correct.
me, for example, doing what I'm doing and trying to juggle everything, it's my daughter is watching it, so unconsciously she's taking that in as well.
Hmm.
She's thinking
Hmm.
that yes, it is possible to do all things,
Yes, yes, of course, of course.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Mm.
So yeah, the pause which you always talk about here, which have your the motherhood pause, which we can say,
Yeah.
is what I've seen. A lot of women on the same platform have spoken about the same kind of a pause that they had because of motherhood. Because as a woman, they have to become the nurturer.
Yeah.
No, they have to nurture the child at least for some time, which the father cannot do. The father can be a support, yes, of course, to be around for those times, but the actual nurturing has to be done by the mother itself, no? especially the feeding part. If you say the father cannot be feeding the child, the mother has to be present there to feed the child. So we have
Mm-hmm.
to take that kind of a pause when we have a family responsibility coming in our lives. Yeah, but post that pause, how we are able to bring back, and that pause should not be a kind of a pause which becomes a stop in our life. No, it should not
Of
stop us
course.
living our dreams later on in our lives.
Yeah.
So, Nana, tell us about the post pause, how after that pause you have evolved yourself and how you became a woman of determination now.
Well, yeah, before we get into it, Monica, I'd just like to highlight that, yes, it's true. It is the woman who has to nurture the child, and, we have to breastfeed and all that. But now, even society, even the workplaces, everybody's so supportive of that as well. I mean,
Yes,
women
yes,
get 4 months maternity leave. There's a lot of corporations that have nurseries uh,
yes.
in their premises. People are allowed to work from home. People are allowed to, juggle with their schedule. So I wouldn't like to say that some people use it as an excuse,
Hmm.
but it's also very important to see that yes, there are ways to go about this.
Hmm.
There are ways to balance it. It's not either or. You can
Yes,
you can find a lovely balance between the two.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
women also take this as a kind of a comfort zone for themselves, hiding
Yes.
behind
Yes.
that pretext also. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if you have a dream, go all out. You cannot blame it on the devil or to blame it on the environment which is around you. So, take responsibility. That is the most important
Yes.
thing.
Yes. Of
Take
course. I think
responsibility of your own life.
absolutely right. I think that is the key. You have to be intentional. You have to exercise your will.
Hmm.
You have to know that you make the choices at the end of the day. It's
Yes.
your choice, so just choose wisely.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and I think, coming back to your question of what helped me get out of this pause and come out stronger was first the intent. I always thought that I'd be doing something
Hmm.
that would benefit people,
Hmm.
and that's where my journey started. That's where I started being curious about me,
Hmm. Hmm.
about what it is that I like, what it is that I'm good at, what
Hmm.
it is that people compliment me on, and that actually value that quality in me, and how I can leverage these qualities to do something
Hmm.
for myself, to do something for society, to do something for a greater good.
Hmm.
So that's how the change came about. And then it was also very, very important that the support system that I had around.
Hmm.
Everybody was very, very supportive of whatever I wanted to do.
Hmm.
They were my kids who are teenagers now. My husband, everybody at home was very, very supportive, and that makes
Hmm.
a huge difference because
Yeah.
even on the crappiest of days, you feel uplifted. You feel that,
Yes.
yes, there's all these people behind me that are telling me that I am very, very able to do this, so I can do this. So
Yes.
I think those are two very, very important pillars to have,
Ab-
when you're pulling through a pause.
Yes.
And talking about pauses, this last pause that I had a couple of months ago was unfortunately due to my mom's death. And this was an intentional pause. This was
Hmm.
when I decided to draw back and I said,
Hmm.
I need to heal and I
Hmm.
need to be in the right frame of mind to actually do what I do.
Hmm.
And I can tell you one thing, grief can break you
Yeah.
like nothing else can. And again, I think that's when you're instead of focusing on what grief is doing to you, it's focusing on what you can get out of this grief.
Hmm.
I've come out of it just thinking, all this that I've been through, all this that my mom went through has to serve somebody. It has
Yes.
to help somebody,
Yeah.
Anybody who's been in my position, who is already in my position, who's going to be in my position can
Hmm.
learn from it.
Yeah.
There is always something to learn.
Yeah.
So
And
that's a good motivation for me as well to come out and to do things that I actually enjoy doing as it is.
Yes, because grief, some emotions are very universal emotions, and grief is one emotion which is so, so universal. So
Yeah,
I really appreciate what you're saying, Nana, that you are able to now, out of the grief, bring out something which can help the other people around you to be able to overcome that grief, probably to be able to deal with that grief, and also to come out again a more stronger person as you have done yourself, and also not to just sideline grief, because sometimes we are so caught up in our work, in our that present circumstances, that we put the grief behind. Okay, I'll cry later, I'll cry
mm,
on a holiday, but it doesn't happen like that. No, we cannot
yeah,
have that emotion postponed for some day because I am in work.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, it's an emotion that stays. That
Mm,
stays for a very long time. And I think
yes.
for a while it even becomes part of you, you know? It's
Mm.
you just learn to live with this grief. So why not make the most of it?
Absolutely. So that is
You
what
know?
we have to understand, that what you did, take a break or take a pause. So we all can be encouraged to take that pause for some emotions of ourselves,
Of course.
to
And I
actually
think
regulate that emotion. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's very needed as well because you're suddenly feeling all of this that you don't know what to do with.
Hmm.
And it's so painful. So painful. You don't know how to deal with it. You don't know how people around you are going to deal with it.
Hmm.
For some time you just wanna hide. You know, you
Hmm.
just wanna hide in your cocoon and let it be. And I think that helps as well. You know, when you hide is when you're by yourself, is
Hmm.
when you think, is when
Yeah.
you process, is when you
Yeah.
come to terms with it as well. You learn how to accept. Although I don't think you ever, or maybe I haven't reached that point. You know, they say there's always steps that
Hmm.
that grief takes, and I don't think it's linear. I think it
Yeah.
just goes
Yeah,
however
yeah,
it
I
has
think
to
also
go.
I have my own example from that also. Like it took me about 8 years for that grief from my father, because I was not able to process at that time. When my father went, um, I had a marriage in my family.
Mm,
So I was not able to live that emotion because I had a happier occasion in my family. So I cannot spoil that occasion of happiness because I was in grief. So I just put that behind. I put that emotion behind. And it really, really was there with me for 8 long years until I came into philosophy. And in that philosophy, when I was doing my spiritual work, that is when I was able to let go. I was able to let go of my father after 8 years. So it really takes time. We cannot have a timeline for grief, actually. So we cannot tell somebody that it's okay, it's over now, get on, get along, move on. We cannot say such things to people who are grieving, actually. So
no,
I
no. I think totally contrary. I think we just sit with their grief, just sit with it
yes,
and honor it, you know, because at the end of the day,
yes,
that grief in a way is love for that person
yes,
that's gone as well, you know.
yes,
So just honor it. Like when you were saying about not talking about it, and as hard as it has been in this last couple of months, but and I still think I haven't done it enough, is talk about it. You know, I talk about it with the kids. I talk about it with my
Mm.
husband.
Yeah, yeah,
With
yeah.
For my kids, it's a sort of a way of remembering her. So they come up with all these anecdotes that they've lived with her. So it brings a
Mm.
smile on their face. So
Yes,
so it's good. It's
yes,
it's
yes.
very very healthy
It
to
is
talk
just
about
how
it.
we can transform that grief into something which is more memorable,
Yeah,
of the person's goodness, of the laughter, or the memories which we have, good or bad, whatever it is. But to
yeah,
be able to cherish that person and live, especially when it is our parents, how we can have them live through us.
yeah.
That is what I believe, that our parents live through us. So we have to just embody their good things, everything in us, and we start to live they start to live through us. That is what I believe. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
thank you for
lovely. It's
sharing.
a lovely way to see it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome, awesome, Nana. Thank you for sharing all your pauses so nicely and so lucidly. I must say that you have really brought out so many factors, and I don't think so. I have had conversation uh, at length about women and everything with anybody else as I have done with you today. And I'm sure all the viewers who will be listening to this will have a lot of meat in this. Yeah, so I will now request you to just share with us one message for the audience here.
Well, one of I would like to share two actually, and
Yes,
one of
please.
the messages that I think has been ongoing in our conversation is to never settle. Don't
Hmm.
settle. Find that meaning, find that thing that makes you want to wake up in the morning. You know, um, there are so many things, so many
Hmm.
things. Each one of us is different in our own way. Each one of us has a quality that the other person does not have.
Hmm.
Exploit that quality and
Hmm.
and and find purpose.
Yes,
I think that's what keeps you going. That's what makes life so much more worthwhile.
yes,
And
absolutely.
my second message, which stems off from the first one, is it's never late. It's never too late. I mean,
Yeah,
I found my passion, my purpose at the age of 42.
yeah.
So, if I can do it,
Yes,
everybody
yes,
else can do it. So it's
absolutely.
it's never too late. It's never too
Yes.
late to explore. It's never too late to be curious. It's never too late to learn.
Hmm. I agree on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know you are constant learner as well. So you
Yes.
know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Nana. It was really, really wonderful to have you here, and you've taken out all the time. So, woman, I will just like to again give this request that if these stories are really impacting you and really inspiring you, you can be the next guest here because your story can inspire one more person to just have that pause, probably if they are running around and if they are having a pause, which they are thinking, which is a stop, they can just cut it short and just unleash themselves once again. So, thank you so much, Nana, for being here. It was a
Thank you.
really wonderful experience. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica.